Hi, my name is Steven.
It is I, Kevin.
And I am David, the eldest champion.
We are the Brothers Born.
We invite you to bear witness as this most unlikely of throwdowns is about to commence.
Hey everybody, this is Steven.
This is Kevin.
Big D coming at you. The
With
coolest
Of
of
course.
the Brothers Born.
coming at you with our new podcast, The Unlikely Throwdowns. We visited this topic a little bit before in our Brothers Born podcast, and we just loved
we
it
did
so
more
much.
than visit it. We kind of hung around it for a little while.
It was the most fun thing we did, so we thought we'd just turn it into its own thing, and really excited to kick this off.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're listening and you're interested in Brothers Born podcast, go ahead and listen to that. We're still going to put a couple episodes of that out, but this is going to be our focus for now.
All right, so today, our first of the Unlikely Throwdowns in this new era of Unlikely Throwdowns.
Next generation.
Next generation. Our judge today is the middle brother, Kevin.
That's true. But for the next generation, you can call him Captain Picard.
Captain Picard.
No,
Captain
don't do that. That's weird. Don't
I'm
do
good
that.
with that. Dang,
Man,
it
what-
took my character. Just kidding.
Shucks, because I had Captain Kirk.
Oh, that would have been a good one.
Yeah, but that wasn't like next generation. That was like
That's true.
original.
Original
series.
OG. Actually, I have my character ready. I'm ready to roll. And I'm excited for this first one. I feel like in the past we've had a lack of female representation in our Unlikely Throwdowns. So I selected a female character today. So I'm going to give you a little intro about her and see if you can guess who she is. She's described as a kind, loyal, and virtuous and benevolent ruler. She cares for her people and will do anything to keep them safe. She's not afraid to come to their assistance whenever they need help. Her wisdom is extraordinary, and her decisions often are done based on her good wisdom. She's a very forgiving ruler, and even like the main villain in this story, she tries to she doesn't really like to she's kind to this person as much as she can be anyway. She has some insecurity. She's a little envious of people, and but she's dedicated to her people and to her friends. She has had blonde hair, brown hair, red hair, mostly blonde. Usually it's depicted as a blonde person. Usually she's like in her late teenage years, early 20s perhaps. She's been around since the 1980s and has made appearances in several video games. Of the franchise I'm speaking of, she's only not in like 2 or 3 of them.
Okay.
She has
All right.
magical powers, which I'm going to dive into a little bit later. But I don't want to. Let's see if any guesses so far.
I said it's either Zelda or Princess Peach.
Ooh, which one is it?
I don't know. Let David decide.
Okay,
I'm going to go Princess Peach.
not correct.
Is it Zelda then?
Princess Zelda, correct.
Hmm. All right. Well, prepare to be destroyed, my friend. Should I do my clues on mine?
Yeah, of course.
All right. Okay. I'm going to give you a little background story as well as I can. And then you'll probably be able to guess who it is. It's not that hard, but he comes from the Planet X, branch worlds of Planet X. He's part of a species that uses his own name as the name of the species. He's destined to protect the rights of the downtrodden, including especially his fellow people, his fellow species. He helped maintain Planet X's ecosystem until he came to the Earth in 1960. Originally, he decided he was coming here to abduct humans for experimenting them. But there's a Dr. Leslie Evans that he found her and he sealed off her hometown. And while she sealed in this seal he made over her hometown, she created these mutant termites that kind of ate him from the inside. But somehow he survived through this, and he became part of a collection. See, all these are going to give him away real easily. But he was kept in this collection underneath Canada. But eventually, he's able to escape, and he like rampages through New York City. And the only way he could be stopped was it took 4 superheroes to stop him. And this will give it away too, because I'm giving away my franchise right here. But the Hulk, the Thing, Giant Man, and Beast, all 4 of them, who are like the strongest ones really in this whole universe, it took all 4 of them to stop this guy from destroying New York City. So eventually they get rid of him. He goes back. Eventually he decides he wants to be good, and he wants to help people out. Let's see. One time he tries to be a nanny for Luke Cage and Jessica Jones. That did not work out very well, but he tried to be their nanny for a little while.
What is this? His
vocabulary is pretty limited, but all he wants to do is help his plant species, including all the species in his planet, mostly including animals and the fungi on his planet. He wants to help them.
Is it Groot?
And, yes, it is Groot indeed.
He threw me with I know he's a Marvel character, but I didn't know he had all this Marvel history. I thought it was just
he did. Well, this is what I looked up on Marvel.com. Did you know that he was he became part of, the Collector, right?
Yeah,
he was part of the Collector's collection, and the dude kept him underneath Canada somewhere. And then eventually he escapes with some of the other items in the collection, and it takes Hulk, Thing, Giant Man. Who's Giant Man, by the way? Is that a precursor to Ant-Man?
It's the same guy.
Okay, well, it took Ant-Man. See, it shows my knowledge. I don't know. Not Thor, Ant-Man, Thing, Hulk, and the Beast, all to take him down.
Interesting.
But eventually he becomes good, and he wants to help people out. So yes, my character is Groot.
Huh. So,
and the only quote I can give you is, "I am Groot." And the reason he can only say that is because his species, the larynx in his throat, it tightens as they mature, which limits their speech severely. But he's actually really, really smart. You just can't tell unless you're a telepath like Jean Grey. She knows all of his thoughts.
So
Groot.
I forgot
Groot
to
versus Princess Peach.
Princess
Zelda. I'm sorry.
I didn't bring any quotes. I should have had some quotes.
Does Zelda have a lot of quotes
from the new game, Breath of the Wild? She does.
That's true. She does have a lot of quotes from Breath of the Wild. I'm trying to think of some Zelda quotes.
I got one here, I think. Or I did have one.
There's one where she talks about that flower in the field.
Oh, she would like Groot then.
Yeah, I was thinking she might have like a little bit of a. This would be interesting.
But Groot, he could be very, very terrifying, but he just loves to be peaceful. Like now, one of his favorite things to do is to make flowers for kids. Like he just makes a flower, creates it, and gives it to him. He loves to build hammocks for Rocket out of different vines, just so Rocket could have a place to sleep. Very kind-hearted.
So we have a situation here in that we both have pretty kind-hearted individuals. We have Princess Zelda, who loves her people and tries to not use violence, I would say. She will resort to it if required with her companion Link, but I don't think violence is not usually her first answer. And seems like Groot, he's also very loving. He loves
violent. His people, but he does resort to violence a little quicker than Princess Zelda.
So interesting. Man, how do we want to do this? So
I don't know. You guys
So should we can I don't know. I think we have to lay our characters' abilities and resources out on the table right now.
Yes.
You want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay, good, because when I go, you'll be crying, but go ahead.
Okay. She has several magical powers. She can conjure a bow to use as a weapon. She also has telepathy, so she can.
Did you say she uses her hair as a bow?
No, because she can conjure a bow. So she doesn't even need an actual bow.
That's
it's like
cute. Okay, go ahead.
She can also she uses telepathy to communicate to individuals mentally. So a little bit of that Jean Grey thing going on. She could communicate without actually being there. She can do fire blasts. That's pretty awesome. And she can teleport. She has some teleportation abilities.
Which I was not aware of that.
So also pretty significant.
So hard to catch.
She is a masterful making disguises. And
hey, wait, time out. If she can teleport, why is she captured so much in every single Zelda video game?
She's not.
She's not.
Princess Peach is captured.
Yeah, Princess Peach is, but
I
not
feel
Zelda.
like Zelda, the original games, all he wants to do is, I guess he needs to get the Triforce, but I thought he was trying to save her too.
Oh, well, yes, but that's like the original. And you got to think like every Zelda is a different person.
Yeah.
Every
There's lots
Zelda.
of different Groots too, but go ahead. Yes, sorry, I didn't mean to
So,
interrupt.
so like, are we accumulating all these Zeldas into one Zelda?
I'm kind of going through all the different Zeldas
Okay,
into one.
okay, we'll go with that. We'll go with that.
She's a masterful disguise artist. There's a time where she disguised herself as Sheik, which is kind of like this ninja type of character who used a harp, which is kind of interesting. She also disguised herself as Tetra in the Wind Waker game. And so she's pretty good at disguising. As Link doesn't even recognize her, and she's like his main thing. So, let's see. She has also been a ghost, and when she's a ghost, she can possess her enemies. Kind of limited to just phantoms, but she can possess things as a ghost, which is pretty significant. But I'm talking someone stoic, someone who is full of charity to her kingdom. You know how there's kings and rulers who don't get in the dirt with you? Zelda is someone who would get in the dirt with you, for sure. She leads by example. And if we're talking extended resources, which we have done in the past, Zelda has Link at the ready as well. And I know he's not the character it shows.
Elf that knows how to use a wooden sword. Who cares?
He's a Hylian, actually. There's a difference.
I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
So Princess Zelda has got a lot of resources with Link, of course, and also a lot of the other people in Hyrule, such as the Koroks, Gorons, potentially Zoras, lots of people to back her because she is a princess of a kingdom after all. I'm going to leave it there. Let that simmer there for a little bit.
She definitely has a little more going for her than I thought. I don't really know her as well as you guys do because I haven't really played Zelda games since the original ones. But let me come back at you with a few things.
All right.
First thing, Groot is his abilities are natural because they come from what he's made of, which is wood. He has this wood that his bark makes him invulnerable to projectiles and also fire. So the fire shooting thing is pretty cool, but it won't really work for Groot. He can regenerate. The movies make it seem like he takes forever to regenerate, but in the comic books, I feel like in my limited research, he can regenerate pretty quickly. He can grow many Groots. Like if splinters of him come off, he can turn them into little Groots, and there can be an army of Groots if he wants. In fact, when he eventually got captured by the Kree, which is where he ended up joining up with the Guardians of the Galaxy. But before he did, he left a little piece of himself on Earth to regenerate on Earth. So apparently, not only there's the Groot with the Guardians, but there's also one on Earth somewhere.
Is there a hive mind thing going on, or like do they all have the same consciousness, or is it like a different Groot?
He can read their thoughts, I think, but I don't know much about that. I think they're also their own entities.
So
as
they
well.
could retaliate against
him.
it.
He can have many Groots everywhere if he wants. His limbs can shoot vines. Like he can wrap them around people. He can impale things with his vines. Let's see. Hold on. He can grow into many Groots. I said that. I've got a list of other powers here real quick. He's able to control things made of wood. I mean, Magneto can control metal, but Groot can control wood. Not always as strong as metal, but, wood is everywhere. Lots of wood. He actually can fly in space. He
doesn't have lungs,
can make other things grow, like things that are not attached to him, live wood like a tree. He can make it grow. He can control other things so that they can grow and be manipulated. He's very I don't know how to say this word, but like he's flexible, whatever. He can bend himself in many different ways. He's got super strength. He is very durable. He can manipulate his size. He has cellular regeneration. I said that already. Fire resistance. He might be telepathic. Some people think he could be telepathic as well. We're not sure on that one, but other people are able to read his thoughts and realize that he's actually very intelligent also. Sometimes it says he can extend his limbs at will. So whenever he wants to, he can stretch himself to take care of other people. Let's see. And overall, very good heartedness. He has that going for him, just like Zelda. But when he needs to, he can take care of some fools and rip some fools up. So he does have a lot of abilities. pretty much this whole plant army at his disposal. And you said, if we are using resources, I understand Zelda has resources.
Oh man, I shouldn't have said
But
that.
I mean, Groot, he has the Avengers. He has, first of all he really needs is the Guardians. He got Drax, he's got Rocket Raccoon, he's got, I guess Peter doesn't really do much, and then he's got Gamora, but whatever, he's got them, but he's also got all the Avengers under his as his ally. So you can't really do much better than that. I mean, when I say Avengers, I'm not just talking about, oh, sometimes Hawkeye hangs out with him. No, he's friends with all of them. You've seen the movie Endgame, so he's friends with all of them. He's got all kinds of resources as well. So there you go. I don't know what you can do with all those things, but let's see what happens.
All right, Kevin.
How does he made of wood and like fireproof?
His bark is like, I can't really read what was the word? I have to look it up again because I wrote it in really sloppy handwriting. But his bark is the type of bark that is makes him invulnerable to projectiles. Dendocormic, I think it's called. I don't know. But it says on Marvel.com or whatever that fire can't hurt him, which I thought was strange too.
That seems broken.
It seems pretty broken, yeah.
But I mean, it's fair. I mean, if it's a characteristic he has, I can't argue with that. But,
But
fireproof
he does, like,
tree.
he can. I guess he can be blown up, like that happened in Guardians of the Galaxy or whatever, where he protected everyone. He almost sacrificed himself to protect his whole team, and Rocket took a little piece of him, which regenerated. And but I think as far as just like getting fireballs thrown at him, I don't think it would hurt him.
Interesting. Well, before we get into our argument, Kevin, do you have any points of clarification you want to get from either one of us? Questions?
Because you probably know more about both of these characters than we do.
Well, I don't actually. I don't know anything about Groot, or Zelda for that matter. So, no, I don't have anything that needs clarification. Just that, like I said, if we're assuming that all Zeldas are combined into one massive Super Zelda, cool. We'll go with that, and then I would say I probably would avoid using the alternate resources as you do, because it is kind of skewed in the sense that Zelda has basically just Link, whereas Groot has like the entire Marvel universe. So that's kind of unfair.
Okay,
so
fair enough.
Go just character to character.
Okay, fine.
I'll leave those out. Okay.
I wasn't going to use that one until Steven brought it up. I just had to show that Groot has more resources than Zelda. That's all.
That's fair. All right. Well, before we get into this argument, let's take a quick break.
A wise man once said, "Cash rules everything around me. It's all about the money. Dollar bills, y'all." Now, the Brothers Born are definitely not part of the Wu-Tang Clan. But the sentiment, well, it's still true. When it comes down to it, making the content that we do can have some costs when it comes to equipment and certain fees. This is where you come in as a listener. No obligation here, but if you do like what we have and you would like to contribute a little bit of funds our way so we can improve our content, there's 3 different tiers of payment which you can use. The first one is a simple, cheap tier of 99 cents. Not too bad. Next tier would be $4.99, or if you're straight balling, $9.99 for the third tier. Now, there's no obligation here. We're going to do the content either way, but we definitely would appreciate a little help. Thank you in advance, and we look forward to providing more content for you.
Welcome back, y'all.
Let me lay down a quote or two here. I did find some. She means business. Princess Zelda. I didn't mention this earlier, but
Sure.
I have to say, she, like Kevin mentioned, there's a lot of different Zeldas, and it kind of is one of those things with Link. Every game is like a new Zelda, but she's like the embodiment or the selected vessel, if you will, of the goddess of wisdom, or the goddess Hylia. So she is a princess of Hyrule, yes, but she also has some goddess powers. She's like a god, essentially. Now, that being said, this is significant. The goddess of wisdom, who is, I think, Nehru. I can't remember exactly. I'm pretty sure it's Nehru. she was part of the creation of an entire world of Hyrule, all right, an entire kingdom. And so Princess Zelda has these powers from these goddesses, although she didn't necessarily create. She is like got this heritage that is pretty significant. I'd like to add that she's protected by the Triforce. She has part of the Triforce in her being, and that is pretty significant. And she's very this next quote kind of shows that she means business. It says, quote, "Stow your fear, it's now or never." I like to end quote. I like to think that our battle would start with her like saying that, "Stow your fear, it's now or never." She's kind of taunting Groot a little bit, kind of.
Dude, hey, listen to this though. Kevin McAllister is 9 years old. He has that same quote. "This is it. Don't get scared now." So what's so good about that quote? I am Groot.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
All right. If you want to tangle,
go ahead. Finish your thought.
It's all right. It's clearly you have something you want to say. Give it to me.
No, I don't. I just thought of Home Alone with Kevin McAllister for some reason. Go ahead.
So I think she has that going for her. She has some, goddess powers. But if they're toe to toe, and we have a couple different things we can approach this with. We have, of course, physical strength. She might not have that compared to Groot. We have, intellectualism. I think she might have a thing or two over him with that. I know you said he's very smart, and that's fair. He is very smart, but he can't convey that to people. All he can say is, "I am Groot." So the general masses would not recognize his intelligence, whereas they would.
Rocket understands him,
but
we're not allowed to use resources.
Whereas her kingdom, her followers would recognize the wisdom she has. And let me just give you this other quote about her dedication. Quote, "I've been keeping watch over you all this time. I've witnessed your struggles to return to us, as well as your trials in battle. I always thought, no, I always believed that you would find a way to defeat Ganon. I never lost faith in you over these many years. Thank you, Link, the hero of Hyrule. May I ask, do you really remember me?" That part's not really relevant, but end quote.
I am Groot.
She is dedicated, and like her, she believes in her people. She believes in her mission, and she is like ready to sacrifice it all if need be.
Okay, I don't know. I feel like this is a tough battle because those things you said, we already know Groot tried to sacrifice everything he had for his people, his team. He did. He can regenerate, though, if he does sacrifice it all. Or you can, there's just all these little Groots, like when he does sacrifice, it's like Fantasia when Mickey Mouse chops that broom up. Oh, thousands of little brooms. Now we have lots of little Groots. I know he sacrifices himself, but in that way, he actually makes himself stronger sometimes. So I'm not sure what Zelda, if that's really something that she has over him. Let's go back to this bow that she can conjure.
Yes.
She conjures it. Groot controls it. I mean, it's made of wood, I'm guessing.
No,
right?
That's the thing. It's not made of wood. She conjures a bow. It's like an ethereal,
It's made of wood, though.
No,
it's not.
It's like it's like a mystical magic bow. It's not made of wood.
Right. It would have been sweet though if it was, because that would have been an awesome point. But we'll just pretend it's made of wood, just so
You can't pretend it's made of wood. I'll pretend he's not allergic to fire. I mean, he's allergic to fire. Allergic.
I'm just kidding. But he's got I don't know, she sacrifices, he sacrifices. He's got a whole army of Groots that can take care of her, all your Zeldas put together. I don't know. Are we trying to create a narrative where this is actually happening, or we have done that in the past, or we're just comparing powers and letting Kevin decide who would win?
I think mostly the latter.
Okay.
But I do like figuring out a way these two would meet. That is a fun thing to do. So maybe at the end, I'd like to revisit that.
Okay. Well, so Groot does have the super strength going for him. And projectiles, if she conjured up a bow, it probably more than likely couldn't really hurt him because of his super strong bark. So I'm not sure what the bow would do.
Fair enough. That's a fair point.
Whatever he needed, he also can make himself grow, and he could, I don't know, he could just wrap or strangle around with his plant limbs. And I don't know, I haven't really played Breath of the Wild that much, but I know there's lots of woods and trees in that world in Breath of the Wild. And I do know from the original Zelda that there's like one area called the Lost Forest or whatever. You have to go like up 4 times or over whatever.
All the trees are Groots. Oh man.
Right. Groot can control all those. So it wouldn't be lost. None of those trees in that forest are lost to Groot. He knows them all and he cares for them all.
Well,
and Zelda, her kind-heartedness, like I feel like Groot, he would just like, she would just be, he'd be endearing to her when he'd grow a flower for her and hand it to her.
She would like that. She would like that.
Yeah, she would. He could control their plant life. Maybe he could create some kind of magical wooden throne for her. Like she probably would not be able to do anything against him because he's just, okay, this doesn't really make sense because then they're both being nice to each other, and we don't want that.
I do want to point a clarification from Steven real fast.
Yes.
This bow that she conjures.
Yes.
Are the projectiles fired from this bow, the arrows, are they like regular arrows or are they themselves like a conjured like magical sort of projectile? Because that might make a difference as far as how effective they are.
Are they going to be able to project mutant termites?
Based on the Zelda games that I've played, there's regular arrows, there's shock arrows, there's ice arrows, there's fire arrows. I'm going to say this bow can fire any one of those, right? So
or ancient arrows,
even. Yes, that's correct.
Is a shock arrow like an electric arrow?
Yeah, it's like an electric arrow.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. But like the ancient arrows, because the ancient arrow is like I don't know how you describe it, but I feel like that would be something that could potentially damage Groot quite a bit because
the ancient arrows,
if they can destroy guardians.
The ancient arrows are like these, like they're made from ancient materials that were like magical materials that Ganon, like that the kingdom used to build these like super robots to fight Ganon.
I am Groot.
So yeah, she has her bow is not just firing wooden arrows. We got all those like magical arrows, which could make a dent. Maybe not the fire ones, sure. But the ancient ones,
the ice ones wouldn't do
shock
anything
ones,
either,
we could mess
the
them up.
regular arrows, he would just control them back to her because I'm assuming some of the regular or wooden arrows.
So she wouldn't use those. No.
Okay.
Also, I want to make a point here. This is significant, I think. She has divine powers. I've just touched on this already a little bit. So Ganon, we all know who Ganon is. He's the villain of Zelda, the giant pig dude, right? Very powerful, especially in Breath of the Wild. He takes all those guardians, the robots, or so to speak, in the Zelda universe, and kind of takes control of them. He corrupts and creates all these monsters. He's a very powerful being. Princess Zelda, using the Triforce and using her divine powers, seals Ganon inside Hyrule Castle, and she keeps him there single-handedly. Keeps him there. She stands not idly. She's not idle. She stands 100 years, century to guard this massive seal she's encapsulated Ganon in. So here she is. Talk about like resilience, man. 100 years keeping that same flow of magic to protect your kingdom that you love so much. You're
okay.
That's pretty significant, I'd say. She can seal this villain away for 100 years.
Well, I could see where maybe there could be some way where she might be able to seal Groot for a little while. I don't know. But unless she destroys all the wood around her, Groot could somehow, he might have telepathy, so he can control the wood from outside probably. And like, how could she take down all the wood is what I'm saying. There's a lot of wood. That's all. There's grass. There's lots of plants. Like, could she take down all
here's the thing. Now, this is a little bit of speculation, perhaps, but Hyrule is such a part of her and so ingrained in her. And the Koroks, which are like the wood people, they're almost like little mini Groots.
Which Groot could probably control.
No, I don't think he could.
He couldn't.
Because they're their own sentient beings, and like she is very friendly with them. They like. These are her people. It's not just Hylians we're talking about here. I know we're not talking about extended resources, but these wood people that are relevant. I think they would not turn sides over to Groot.
Well, let me throw something else.
They're dedicated to her.
I get that. Dedication, that's important. She treats them well. I see why they're loyal to her. But mini Groots, wouldn't they become endeared with these mini Groots? Like, wouldn't they start to get along with them? Like, wait, you're just like me. And you follow someone who's just like you. Like, I get it. Maybe they might not turn against Zelda, but do you think they would have the heart to destroy all the mini Groots? Like,
I don't know. They're not really. They're pretty peaceful people, actually. I don't know if they would fight, but they wouldn't turn sides.
Well, actually, neither of these would probably fight against each other. But
I think going back to that though, the Kingdom of Hyrule, she created it. I don't think that her creation. Well, I mean, she didn't herself, but the goddess that is manifested in her created it, and I don't think her creation would turn against her, even if Groot tried telling them to. So although your wood rule applies, I don't know that the wood in Hyrule would go against her.
So who's to say this battle? Like, I feel like you have some good points here. Still not enough to overcome Groot, I don't think. But I feel like this is not really a neutral site if we're battling on Hyrule. Which,
that's fair.
Are we doing something not on a neutral site? I don't know. I feel like that gives a little bit of an advantage to you. But
yeah,
like, it's okay. We can work with it, I guess. Point. So I guess that could be like one stipulation. Obviously, if we're in the Kingdom of Hyrule, Zelda has a little bit better knowledge of it than Groot. Groot does travel through space, and he's able to leave mini Groots with him everywhere. So he could have left some mini Groots somewhere in Hyrule once, and they could have impersonated Zelda's wooden people,
Koroks,
and maybe they could destroy the army from within, because she would have thought they were allies and they really weren't.
Infiltrated.
But
they look really different, but I can see it.
I feel
so. I don't know. It's hard to say. Like, I guess I could see advantages she would have there, but
well, I'll interrupt for a second.
Mediator.
I feel like because I did specify that they can't really use necessarily like outside resources, I feel like given that sort of rule, that this would have to be in like a neutral ground, like rather than Hyrule, because Steven's 100% right on this one. If the battle were to take place in Hyrule, I definitely would have to give it to Zelda, but I think that's an unfair advantage. So for the sake of keeping it, fair, let's say it's going to be somewhere else.
That's fine. I get that.
I feel like I don't know. I feel like Groot could take down Hyrule too if he wanted, but you're right.
So this is
a little more of an advantage for her there.
This is kind of where we let me show you what these Korok dudes look like, Dave, really quick. I'm just going to share my screen. You see those guys?
Oh, those can't do anything against little mini Groots. They look like they would just chill and party together, man.
It's kind of what they do, actually.
They do kind of get that vibe, yeah. I do feel like
Koroks, their sticks, their smiles. They would love hanging with them.
I feel like Koroks and mini Groots would be just like chilling together.
Yeah. Zelda and Groot would be fighting, and these little people would just be all chilling, having some huge party. But so I guess that just cancels it out, maybe. But I'd get that they would be. What's the word? Loyal to her, but they don't look like they're that rough. Maybe they are.
They're actually they hide. They hide all over the kingdom. But back to Kevin's point, we're in a neutral ground here. So this kind of goes into what you asked earlier, Dave. How does this happen? So what situation pulls Groot and Princess Zelda someplace where they're on neutral ground?
If I was the judge, hold that thought, because like if I was Kevin right now, I feel like if it was in Hyrule, it'd be, in Zelda's favor. But I feel like if it was in one of the places Groot inhabited, it would be. So I don't know. I feel like either way, it's going to be in someone's favor. Can you truly have a neutral ground here?
Yes,
you can. I feel like you can. However, said neutral ground would have to be void of all trees.
Yes.
Then obviously that's not fair. I guess it is, because it would take away a little bit of powers from both of them. But go ahead, Kevin.
So
Steven, what were you going to say?
What's the planet that Anakin becomes Darth Vader on?
Oh, no.
Mustafar. That's where this battle's taking place.
It takes place
Planet of Fire.
So how does Zelda and Groot end up on Mustafar?
I don't know.
Groot, I could see ending up there a little bit easier than Zelda, because Groot travels the galaxies. Because he's a guardian of these galaxies. How would Zelda get there?
How does Princess Zelda get to Mustafar?
I think we're digressing a little bit here.
I feel like this should be an entire novel. It's just a story of how Zelda gets to Mustafar. I don't know.
But all right, they're both there.
I feel like maybe instead of Mustafar, I feel like maybe Hoth would be a better
option.
The
frozen area, the snow.
Yeah. Then I have no plants that are really around.
That's the idea.
I see what you're doing.
Neutral ground here.
I see what you're doing. All right. Well, then they're only then they have no outside help other than themselves.
Yes.
So even though if Groot doesn't have any wood around him, there has to be some wood on Hoth that he could still tap into and control. But he still has his arms that he can shoot out at Zelda. She shoots an arrow. He shoots his arm to break the arrow, to block it. He can encase her, with his arms, shoot out arms. He can distract her with making beautiful flowers. I think if he made all these different flowers and plants on the Kingdom of Hoth, those weird Hoth creatures would be like, oh, those are awesome. And they'd come over and rush the area because it would distract them, and then they would attack Zelda for some reason. I don't know, because they want more of those plants in their lives. But
Princess,
I realize again, I'm not allowed to use
Princess Zelda does have a way with animals, though, too. They would respond to her as well. And
Groot has a way with plants and fungus.
I didn't talk to you about the goddess harp. The goddess harp is an instrument she uses to use various elemental attacks. So she has the arrow, she can conjure and shoot these elemental arrows. She also has the goddess harp. So she plays a song like a fire song or a water song or whatever. And it also does some elemental attacks on Groot. So I think that would be the only one that really deals damage, though. So point of clarification, as I'm on the Zelda Wikipedia page or whatever, the goddess harp only lets her do damage with lightning. So the lightning is going to be her attack with the goddess harp.
Lightning might be able to do some damage.
Because I know Groot's immune to fire, whatever. But lightning, if let's say the lightning strikes
projectiles too, dude. Projectiles also.
Lightning strikes the wood.
It's a projectile.
No, lightning's not. If it's shooting out of something,
I'm projecting lightning onto you. It's projecting.
That's stretching it a little bit there, Dave.
So the lightning hits.
I think projectiles. I think more like
the arrows,
spears,
stones.
Bullets.
Okay, fine. Bullets. I don't know.
The arrow hits. The arrow hits Groot. I mean, not the arrow. The lightning hits Groot, and I would say that the fire immunity that he supposedly has would not happen if it's caused by lightning.
Like that's not a thing. Man.
It's a thing.
You're ripping on Groot. The fire immunity. You're saying it like that's not.
But if the fire is caused by lightning hitting him, you know how like when lightning hits trees, fire happens. That's forest fires, whatever. I think he wouldn't be immune to that kind of fire. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like natural. It's
yeah. I mean, we know that from the movie that he can get blown up because he encases this bomb or what. I can't remember the movie that well, but it explodes him everywhere. So I guess that's the point. But then what happens?
Zelda has bomb arrows too.
What happens?
Bomb arrows. That's right. I forgot the bomb arrows.
What happens to Groot?
He gets zapped by the lightning.
He regenerates, and he's got another Groot. Okay. So
well, the thing is, although he regenerates, Princess Zelda is going to get reincarnated as another Princess Zelda. That's how it works over there.
this battle
we have a never-ending battle.
This battle will literally be never-ending.
All right.
I'm just saying, the only thing I researched that could hurt Groot really was the termites that were mutant termites that ate him from the inside when he was covering up that lady's town.
Which is so crazy.
But then he would parts of him would regenerate again. So I don't know. Like, I see what you're saying. The arrows could be hard for Groot to overcome, or the bomb arrows, whatever. If there's any wood on these arrows, which I'd like to think most of them have, then he could just control them. So there's that. But he could also like deflect them. He could get rid of them before they even hit him, I would think.
Goddess harp, bro. Goddess harp, he can't deflect. I'm firing that lightning right at him.
Well, he does have super strength. That's one of his powers, and he's a genius. So he would find a way to like. I think you could get rid of those arrows, like push off the lightning. I bet he could probably control lightning. Okay, that's speculation. But he probably could
not control lightning. He's not Storm.
He's not who?
Storm? The X-Men.
Oh, Storm. I thought you said Store, like a combination of Storm and Thor. I'm like, what the heck? Who's that?
Storm with a hammer.
That would be pretty sweet, though. Storm and Thor mixed together.
Or Thorm.
But anyways.
Thorm would be pretty. That's like the ugly stepbrother. All right. So what we're really getting to here is an eternal battle that would never end. All
right. Well, let's just say like, all right, Kevin has all the cards on the table. He's the judge. Let me just remind you of a couple more of Groot's powers that we haven't focused on as much, but might come in handy. He's telepathic. Okay. He's good. He's got cosmic powers. He's very durable, and he can flex any way he wants. If something's coming at him, he can just flex away from it or go around it. Like, I guess he's not quite as flexible as water, but he still like can picture him moving around and dodging and moving his wood in different places. His wood splinters out, whatever. And he can fly in space. I don't know how that comes in handy in actual battle, besides maybe an escape route after he destroys Zelda. But still, he has lots of powers. He has a little army of Groots, which is not an outside resource because they came from him. Like they blew up from his actual body, so they're actually part of him. So pretty much he can do whatever he wants to with this army of Groots and plants around him. I don't know what Zelda's going to do with that, but I'm going to leave that on the table for Kevin. Do you have anything you want to leave on the table for him?
My final argument.
I am Groot.
That's your quote. You ended with a quote. All right. So Princess Zelda, I've mentioned this already. She has goddess powers. The goddess harp shoots out lightning. She does have the arrow. I know he's immune to projectiles, but they could certainly make distractions. They could certainly ping him a little bit. Still productive. She has the power to seal things. A really powerful being like such as Ganon for 100 years and prevent him from coming out and doing his reign. That is significant because not only does she seal him, but 100 years she's able to do that consistently, no breaks. That's awesome. She's very dedicated and is willing to sacrifice herself for the greater good. And I'm going to kind of showcase that with this quote. Quote, "We must win. The fate of Hyrule depends on it." End quote. Also, quote, "All shadows must eventually meet the light." End quote. So
Groot makes his own shadows.
All shadows would meet the light.
I don't know how that's an argument, but okay.
So, all right, I get it. Those are some good quotes, but I will say the quote you thought was best, she stole from Kevin McAllister. So there's that. I am Groot.
Before you make your judgment call, Kevin, I really think what would end up happening is these two would be like the bestest friends in the world. Honestly, I think they'd be like so cool with each other because they're just they seem like they'd be friends. She loves.
They'd be doing like tricks with Groot would be doing like magical wood tricks for her to her delight, and she'd be controlling her wood people to make Groot laugh. Yeah, they probably would. There wouldn't be much of a battle.
It'd be a big party, I think. It'd be a good time, and he
unless one of them was inherently evil, because they're both like good-hearted and stand up for what's right. Groot started out evil, but he changed.
So the reality is they would be friends, but in our battle on Mustafar or / Hoth or whatever it is, the cards are yours now, Judge.
So this one, and I've been thinking about this whole time, and I guess this is kind of an odd one. So I do agree. I don't think that these two would ever actually be enemies. I think if they were to meet, they'd actually be kind of friends. I mean, hey, Groot could help take down Ganon. Why not? But that's not the point of this. So what we have here, gentlemen, is a first. Not only is it the first episode of our new podcast, but looking back at the previous times we've done this on the other podcast, I actually have to call it a draw. I know I have to. I have to call it a draw because for a couple reasons. One, I don't think they would actually fight to begin with. But two, we are talking about this being an eternal struggle. Like, Groot can regenerate new Groots. Zelda's constantly reincarnating. She has the ability to seal things, which I think would work against Groot, but Groot also, with his ability to control trees and stuff, like, I think everything all their abilities in some way, I think, cancel each other out. So in my opinion, I think this is actually a draw.
Interesting. We've never had a draw before. I didn't know that was an option.
It wasn't until just now because
it's kind of a cop-out, don't you think?
It is a little bit, but every time we've done this, like, as difficult as it's been, I've always been able to come up, as a judge or, one of you guys.
Even when there's like even the Mr. Magoo,
Boba
I can't
Fett.
remember who it was.
And Boba Fett, yeah. Like even that one, it was kind of like
there's a way to find where either of them could win, but we found it actually, like all of them. There's been some kind of winner.
But this one, I
couldn't really overcome some of Zelda. I think I don't know. It was tough to.
I mean, it's the first time it's happened, and I don't think it's going to be a common thing. Generally, we can find, have an idea, even if it's by a minuscule amount, that one of our competitors would win. But in this case, I don't think there's a way for one of them to win. I think both of them. I think would be a draw.
All right.
Well,
good match, my friend.
Good match. We'll call it a cat's game, my friend.
Let's say that they team up and they become the most powerful
force to be reckoned with
alliance that we've had so far. But definitely for them, then they're for good, like the most what's the word I'm looking for? Not righteous, I guess righteous, but the most good. I don't know.
Noble's a good.
Noble, yes.
Um,
I'm just saying,
Heroic.
Zelda and Groot are gonna take Hoth by storm, man. They're gonna turn
know.
that place around.
Groot might not be. He could do good. He could change Hoth around, him and Zelda together.
she doesn't need Link, man.
They
She
could
just needs
change it from
Groot.
an ice planet to like.
At least
It's
Groot.
like
At least Groot talks more than Link. Link doesn't say
That's
a word
true.
ever, and Groot at least says his name
that's not true.
And
Link
Groot.
does say stuff.
in the cartoon. But it's like
He says, "Hoo-ya, ha, hey, yeah."
that's true.
That's what he says.
And could they like? I think Kevin McAllister should go visit him too.
He's got some sort of. I don't know how that would happen, but yes, he gets
I'm just
It's
kidding.
like Home Alone 26. He's trapped on Hoth. The wet bandits go all the way there. Oh,
All
man.
right. Well, good game.
That was a good one. I kind of like that as a draw. Like I said, we can't make a habit of this, but I'm supportive of this decision. So,
So if we ever do a tournament of champions, like those two wouldn't be able to participate, or what? I don't know. I guess we'll figure that out as we go. But
they're too busy fighting their eternal war.
they would
It
either
goes
fight an
on
eternal
forever.
war, or all of a sudden, until eventually they're just going to be friends, no matter how long the war lasts. Eventually, they're both going to be like, "Okay, bro, bring it in."
I love the idea. I love the image of Mini Groot hanging out with a Korok. I think that's like awesome.
Yeah, I definitely need some sort of artist rendition of that.
We always come up with something that no one in the world could ever have thought of before in every one of these episodes. Like, who would ever have thought of that until we did? So this is why everyone should listen to the podcast, because you'll hear things that you never thought were possible.
It's going to
or that
open your
no one's ever
mind.
thought of. All
gonna
these
open-
great minds in the world, Gates, Einstein, different Shakespeare, whatever, Beethoven, I don't know. None of them ever thought of something like this.
Groot versus Princess Zelda. Yeah.
What ramifications that could have. None of them ever thought of it.
All right. Well, since it was
Only here
since-
on The Brothers Born.
since it was a draw, how do we decide the next judge?
Um,
Yeah, why don't you just pick one, Kevin? Me or David?
I'm gonna say you
Me?
because I've had we've done a couple of these without David, and it's always been the two of us against each other.
Okay.
So I feel like I'm gonna say you, so because I feel like David hasn't had enough of these competitions.
Fair enough.
All right, we'll do. I'm ready. Or I will be ready. And we could just pick whoever we want again.
Just figure whatever you
Okay.
want.
I love it. Excellent. This is a good battle, dudes. And welcome, everybody, to the Unlikely Throwdowns podcast, part of Brothers Born Media.
Yes.
Hey, thanks for listening to our new podcast, episode 1 of the Unlikely Throwdowns. Brought to you by Brothers Born Media. That's right, folks. We're a brand now. Ha, imagine that. Check out our website, www.brothersbornmedia.com. We're going to be sharing all of our content there, as well as the other podcatchers that you normally listen to this podcast on. If you want to get in touch with us, go on our website. There's a link to contact us. Or you can email us directly at brothersbornpodcast@gmail.com. We are so excited for this new project, and we hope you are too. Stay tuned for more Unlikely Throwdowns. Next time, I'm going to be the judge. It's going to be great, folks. We look forward to talking to you then.